Recording in progress.
All right, I'm going to call the Thursday, April 16th Borough Council business meeting to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Stiles, will you call the roll?
Yes. President Bush?
Here.
Vice President Rickards? Here. Councilmember Samuelson?
Here.
Councilmember Borough?
Here.
Councilmember Spear?
Here.
Councilmember Gardini?
Here.
Councilmember Stratton?
I'm here, virtually. I'll be there shortly.
Very good. So we have virtual for now, and then Mayor Dana Edwards.
Here.
Okay.
Way over here.
Yeah, so we are, we are experimenting with this new room layout after last month's meeting, which was a little crowded for the way we had it. So if people have comments, please let me know. We're also experimenting with this timer for the public comment. So I'll get to that in a minute. We have no zoning related, we have no zoning changes on the agenda today. We have the zoning recodification, which is policy neutral. That means that it does not change what is permitted to be built anywhere in the borough, and it does not change the standards for building anywhere in the borough. It is a cleanup of the existing language, at least that is the intent. We have that on the agenda. I do not anticipate a vote on that this month, but it is on our agenda. And that's it for my comments. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, got a handful of comments. So I think first off, I'd just like to thank everybody who has been sending, all the people here who've been forwarding resident emails, to all the residents who've been sending emails about zoning and different topics. I read all of them. I do my best to answer all of them. So I just want to say thanks for that. A couple of lighter items to start, and then we'll get into some deeper items. The Narber Civic Association held a very successful debate. I hope that you got to see that. It's important for us because it will elect our next State House representative person. It is available online. So thank you to Narber Civic for that. In addition, for them, they will be having Narber Earth Day on May 2nd. So we all know that. I want to make sure that everybody remembers that and shows up. The farmers market, their first one will be May 7th. So spring is here. It's beautiful. They're going to have 8 vendors instead of 5 this time, so that's exciting. They're expanding. Wonderful news. Lasan opened, and all the reviews are super positive. I haven't been able to get there. I don't know if anybody else has been able to get there. Gaudina, you went?
Yeah, it was great.
So just everything from them has been super positive. It's really exciting to me to have a second restaurant open, like a little miniature boom inside of Narber.
What kind of food is what's on?
It is South Indian. I probably just got in trouble for getting that. It might have been North, now I can't remember. It's Indian. It's Indian food. I'm really happy that Joe decided to join us. Oh, hi, Joe. I'm Joe. Okay. Okay, a couple more things. The police accreditation. There's been a lot of talk that police are quote unquote fixed and all these things, but I want to give John Stream his due because he's really going the extra mile to get the accreditation. We had a handful of assessors here last week for a couple of days reviewing policies and procedures. It's the second to the last step for accreditation, and I think that's really positive news for us. The basketball courts. So we've got warmer weather. That's going to bring more people. This week we did have an incident there. Some of the things that occurred were like driving cars in circles, throwing trash, those sorts of things. We'll call it generally being disorderly. So Chief String and I are working on addressing that. I just want to let everybody know that we're aware of it. We've added some measures in the interim to handle that, and we're clearing the courts out at about 8 o'clock every night for now. School bus safety, last one. Just as a reminder, sorry, last one under the police section. Just as a reminder, or just so everybody knows, we've seen an increase in school bus violations from the automated camera piece. So I just want to issue for people who are watching this and the people in the crowd and council, please be sure to tell everybody not to run past the school bus. When it's stopped, it will take a picture, you will get a ticket, not do the news. Finally, the Narberth Run. I know everybody here is excited about this. It is April 25th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Jim Spear and I are going to be racing for the crown, and he will win. But just want to make sure everybody's there, show up. We need some good public presence there. Look forward to seeing you. That's the end of my comments.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Manager.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for indulging our experiment with the new room layout. Looking forward to hearing what you think of it. To summarize some of the things that we've been working on for the past month, we have had a very high number of right-to-know requests the past couple months, and we actually just had 4 more that came in through just today alone. That brings us up to, I think it's 9 from community residents, and another 7 from other outside individuals or entities. Emily is our right-to-know officer, and she has spent at this point about 45 hours of her own time compiling all of the documents for the right-to-knows. That does not even include the time that I have spent responding to the right-to-knows, or all of our volunteer boards, council members who are also involved in the right-to-know requests, and so thank you all for your time in pulling those responsive documents to respond to those right-to-knows. So that has occupied a significant amount of staff time the past month.
Can I interject real quick? I'm sorry. Can you, Emily, if you didn't spend last week doing right-to-know requests, I mean, we all have, right? I think I sent 145 emails just in one night. What else would you be doing? What are we losing?
Out of my 3 to-do lists that I have going at any given time, grants would probably be the first and foremost the biggest. For all of our many capital projects that we have, there's a lot of grant opportunities out there, and each application, they're usually very in-depth and take time, and it's something that we work on together, but it's a lot of writing narratives and working with our professionals to put the applications together, so that would definitely be the biggest. Aside from that, we've been working to refine processes and procedures internally and just really make things more efficient and clear for the residents, and working with our staff on outreach and communication for all of our upcoming projects. So those would probably be the biggest things.
Thanks. Sorry to interrupt, Maggie, that was a shocking number.
It's been quite high. So a lot of those things that Emily mentioned have had to go on pause because we had to respond to the right-to-knows. But one of the other things that we did manage to get through in terms of some of our policies and procedures is the Police Advisory Committee had recommended to us to update the phone tree. So this will provide prompts and dialogues for residents who are reaching out to the non-emergency number. As with anything, we do recommend always calling 911 for anything. This actually helps us route all of our calls to the officers on duty. So even if it's not an emergency, we do recommend you still call 911. However, if you're calling for other reasons, just want to get a hold of a police officer for more informational purposes, we now have an updated phone tree. So thank you to Emily for working through the prompt that was provided by the Police Advisory Committee recommendation. So that has been implemented. So if anybody calls, you'll be routed through a new phone tree process. We did send out some postcards announcing the paving program and our stormwater bump outs to the residents who are on those impacted streets, just to give them an early heads up. So again, part of our efforts to improve and get ahead of some of our communications to residents about things going on in the borough. And some news that we didn't want to hear, but wanted to make you all aware of this, since this will have significant implications on our budget. We just received notice from Lower Merion that the Philadelphia Water Department had performed an updated flow analysis of the township contributions to the water treatment plant and have subsequently raised the rates based on the increase of flows and other effluent measurements. So we send all of our sanitary sewer flows to Lower Merion. Lower Merion then has pump stations that take all of that water to the water treatment plant in Philadelphia and West Philly. So it's the Philly Water Department that sets the rates, Lower Merion pays those rates, and then they bill us for our flows of the effluent. So what that means is that Philly raises the rates for Lower Merion raises the rates for us. That cost increase is looking to be about $82,000, which represents a 47% increase in our current sewer bills that we pay to Lower Merion. This is a significant increase. We're looking right now at what this means in terms of what our current budget can hold. I will be in touch with Lower Merion. We do have to negotiate a new agreement between the two municipalities for this. So we will be working with them as best we can to soften this blow as much as possible and come up with a game plan for that. But what this likely means, to tee this up, is that we will likely then need to raise our sewer rates again for 2027. We don't do quarterly billing, so we cannot raise the rates this year, so there's no sewer rate increase this year, but we will need to look at what the budget will look like for next year as a result of this 47% increase. So, something to look forward to. Wanted to give everybody a heads up. And those are the main points that I'd like to make tonight.
All right, next item on our agenda is public comment. As a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes. As a result of the session last week, which was a little prolonged, we're going to change things a little bit. We're going to be trying this clock, which will show your time remaining. And we are also not going to do any back and forth. We will not respond to public comment. Merely move on. After your time has expired or after you've finished your comment, we'll merely move on to the next person. Okay, and as a reminder, please give your name and your address when you begin public comment. So, let's start in the room. If anyone wishes to make a public comment?
Joe Addis, 14 Norwin Lane, Narberth. I was just talking to the gentleman over here from Montgomery County. First of all, to the group here, I was very impressed with the Planning Commission and the people involved. Very, very nice, know all of them, everything else. A couple things, Mike, just to make you aware of. SEPTA has announced that they're going to be cutting back on the bus routes for the Northeast and for the Southern Eastern Pennsylvania, of which is going to be the 44 bus. Amtrak is to follow suit, and they're going to cut back on the trains. So far, they're not cutting the route out, but they're going to cut the frequency of the trains. We were talking about the survey the other night, and the thing I brought up to him was there were 3 people from the Midwest that participated in that survey and lied that they were members of Narberth. So he's going to look into it from what we discussed. And I made a suggestion to him now, and I didn't know whether the council wants to consider it, and I respectfully suggest this. Would it be worth our while to do a mailing to Narberth residents only and have them with questions that can be formulated by the Planning Commission that we can then return to the ladies in the office so you can get a more accurate assessment? And that's basically what I'm suggesting. And just off, and he said possibly, I don't know whether if we got a decision on that, of printing the survey that you did with the answers to each question, percentages. I know he said, you know, the large percentage was against the density, but if we get a mailing, we'll have a much more accurate assessment. And that's it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. This thing turn off? Okay, sorry.
Did I get under 3?
Well,
Well, you don't-
it
went blank.
This is a work in progress. I believe you did, but this is also a work in progress. It went blank.
Damn, I could have got it.
All right. Thank you. Anybody in the second row wish to make a public comment?
Hi, I'm Judy Giuliani, 227 Woodbine Avenue. I just want to reiterate that I'm really opposed to these 5-story buildings with .7 parking. And that's all I have to say. I just want to keep reiterating that I think it's a really bad idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judy.
That was under 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say so. This
Want to
is
sing a
work in
song?
progress.
He was impressed.
John Constantine, 400 North Narberth. The proposed changes to the building ordinances, I don't think we should change the schematic of what we have today. We have very diverse housing today. Wherever new developments occur, they can follow the existing rules. You don't need to spend all this money. You think it's going to make things affordable for people, but it won't. You're all misconceived about lowering costs for people, and that's not your job. You should control the budget, the taxes. You got to look into the sewer. You're going to add more people. You're going to increase the flows that she just mentioned. That's going to add to our costs of ownership. You already, for the aggregation of electricity, that's going to increase our costs. You already shown us that you cannot actively get budgets for the trash. We got one solicited bid for trash, and our costs went through the roof. On leaf blowers, that's going to cost people, their contractors are going to charge them more. You're not making a difference here. You're irritating the population here. I'm speaking to all of you. Especially you, Mike, with smirk. Okay. With regard to the police advisory, they should be telling you that we have officers with PTSD, right? How do you feel about that? I want a response from each and every one of you. How do you feel about having officers with PTSD? And use of tasers. You still haven't explained how many people have been tased in this town. Okay? I haven't sued anybody. Okay? The solicitor accused me of having a filing against or proposed litigation against you. I don't want to sue you. I want you to get your act together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. It was timed, yeah, even though it's not visible.
May I?
Yes, let me reset the timer for a second. Did you say something?
No, I was just, I wasn't sure.
Go.
if you-
Well, he hasn't spoken yet, so.
I got a countdown time right
No,
now.
we're just we're trying this one out. We're trying this one out. We'll see how it
All
works.
right.
We want people to be able to
Yeah,
see
we want-
the time
Okay.
rather
If
than.
it
print
vanishes,
It'll ring
Yeah.
off when your 3 minutes are done, like an end timer.
Maybe we have to turn off power saving.
Just a suggestion.
That just works.
Couldn't you back me up?
Yes.
I think,
The
okay, I
issue
think
with
it's
it-
timing out. Do the middle on the power saver, do the middle setting.
Okay.
It should be the brightness without.
Okay, let's
dimming.
try that. Let's try that. See if that helps. Okay. Sure, we'll stay in the room. So,
Yeah, just really just
your name and your address.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Alvar Susar, 120 Chestnut Avenue, south side. Lived there about 14 years. I guess the only thing on the which I understand is not on today's agenda, but on the increasing density, effect on parking, all those things. What I've really seen on the south side is number of people from outside the community parking, walking to the train station, and taking the train in, which from a certain perspective I'm fine with. If we start increasing the numbers of cars, the people who don't have driveways, I do, doesn't really affect me. Our residents are not going to be able to park in front of their houses, near their houses, anything else. I'm sure you've heard this all before. I really do see it back there, especially, I'm in favor of these bump outs and the water conservation, love all these things, because we're paying for it, we're benefiting from it. The people who park outside of the parking zones, or the parking lots, benefit from our taxes, paving the roads, any of the other municipal services that we do. So I just hope that if more density occurs with parking, that those folks are the first to get pushed out, so that Narberth residents who are paying for all of this get the benefit of it first. So it's just a neutral statement, I think, relatively speaking, And I thank you for your time. I yield it back.
Thank you. All right, this is actually working now. Thanks. All right, let's, anybody else in the room?
Yeah.
Sure. Let me reset this. Okay. Go ahead.
Sebastian Sosa, 120 Avenue as well. 120 Chestnut Avenue. I'm a little bit uninformed as to how much. I'm a little bit uninformed as to how much power this office or this government has with terms of negotiating with SEPTA. But I think definitely a problem of, as the gentleman mentioned, the closing of the bus routes, but also the slowing down of trains, both in volume and in routes. And more people coming in with less parking, you're closing down public transport, which means more people are gonna be thinking about buying a car or have to buy a car in order to get to work. And you're shutting down parking, which means there's gonna be larger volume of cars than residents coming in, and less people using public transport because they can't. So I'm just curious, is there any power you have to negotiate with SEPTA to prevent closure of these routes or increase volume? Is there any power you have to, I mean, you certainly probably can rezone, or at least make sure parking is available to residents, because it is definitely going to be a bigger problem. And people may not want to move here, and may not get any new residents and new money coming in if they can't park their cars. Thank you.
Should you say why you're here?
Oh, I'm here for Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge. I'm working on the Eagles now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and let's go ahead online. Anybody wish to make a public comment online, please unmute yourself or raise your, actually, please raise your hand or indicate yourself to our staff and they can, okay. Carol Marie, well, it says Carol, but I'm assuming this is Carol Marie. You can go ahead, Carol Marie. Or, I'm sorry, Carol. I see you with your hand raised and you've been unmuted. Actually, maybe you want to unmute the other one?
Yeah, there's two.
There's two there. Let's try unmuting the other one. Okay, hold on, Carolyn, for a sec. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's on twice. It's not unmuted. I mean,
I'm sure that the other Carol is not.
okay, yeah. So we've unmuted the person marked as Carol. So if you want to. Okay, we're not hearing anything.
Maybe she has her phone muted.
Yeah. Can you unmute Carol Marie, the second one there?
Hear me now?
Oh,
Okay.
there we
Yes,
go.
we can hear you now. All right. Go ahead with your comment, Carol Marie.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's
Okay, so my name is Carol McLaughlin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confused. I apologize. We were. Anyway, go ahead, Carol.
I'm good?
You're good.
Okay. Clock starting the clock now, right?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, my name's Carol McLaughlin. As a homeowner at 102 South Essex Avenue, I wanted to go on public record to express my opposition to the proposed changes to the 4A zoning code. These changes would directly and negatively impact my property and the surrounding neighborhood. Due to limited time, I'm going to edit my concerns to the following. The plan to reduce base parking requirements to 0.7 spaces per residential unit is unrealistic, and it appears to ignore the reality of life for Norwood families. Operating that under the expectation that residents will live carless because of proximity to SEPTA is a mistake. Most commuters and families still require vehicles. The proposed code does not require parking for units under 750 square feet or for residents with SEPTA residential passes. It's a mistake to assume these residents will not own vehicles. In reality, this loophole will likely result in even more cars competing for non-existent street space. So I'd also like to repeat what the gentleman before me said. With the proposed parking 2-hour time limit restriction removed from the 100 block of South Essex Avenue, as noted in Ordinance 1071, 275, 21B, there's further potential for increased congestion. As it is, like as the gentleman noted, commuters come and park, especially in that 100 block of South Essex Avenue. And they take the train in, and they're there all day, and sometimes they don't come home until late evening, and residents can't park near their homes. So that's my statement on parking. So really two things, one about the proposal for zoning, and one about the ordinance 1071, why that was removed from the 100 block of South Essex Avenue. I am a resident on South Essex. There is a house on South Essex Avenue. Actually, then let's go to the recommendation to allow for 4-story density for apartments buildings is a significant increase from the current 35-foot limit. This would fundamentally change the skyline and feel of our residential neighborhoods. If the current housing units on the 200 block of Elmwood were conservatively developed into 4-story buildings, we could see a total of 48 units. And that's hypothetically counting 16 units at 198 Elmwood. So using these measurements from Google Maps and current parking code length of 22 feet, only 21 cars would fit on that block. And we're talking 48 units here. The proposal also allows for more density the proposal for more density also destroys our historic small town integrity and green spaces that define Narberth.
Oops, sorry.
The proposed change. Oh, my time's up?
Yeah,
Okay.
your time has expired.
Okay, thank you for the time to talk, and I can follow up in an email, and hopefully that goes in the public record as well.
All right, thank you. And apologize for the confusion initially, Carol. All right, is there anybody else online who wishes to make a comment? Okay, I'm going to close public comment at this time. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to our agenda for the day. So,
Move to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion of the consent agenda items? Okay. Let's vote on the consent agenda items A, B, and C. All those in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. It's hard for me to see everybody a little bit. I have to crane my eyes, but I'll get used to it. All right, 9A, leaf blowers.
I move to adopt ordinance number 1069, gas-powered leaf blowers.
Second?
Seconded by Cindy, all right. So we've already discussed this several times and already voted to advertise this, so this is the vote for final adoption. Any comments? So this would take effect January. The practical effect is that next year from
September 1st of this year.
right, but you would still be allowed to use leaf blowers in September, right?
Yes.
So the practical effect starts in January
Yes.
of next year.
Yes.
So this legislation is set up to mirror Lower Merion's ordinance, which is already in effect, to make it easier for contractors who work both in Lower Merion and Narberth to have one set of standards. And the main effect will be that starting next year, starting in January, leaf blowers will be, gas-powered leaf blowers will no longer be allowed. What is it, January through March? And then, I'll have to look. It's in the spring and the,
Just to-
phases in.
yeah, phases in.
Well, just to clarify, for 2026, it is in effect from September 1st to October 1st.
Correct.
So it's for 1 month.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we will have
Yes.
one month.
Right.
Okay.
So one month, and then I'd have to take a look at the ordinances. Do you know?
So it's for 2027,
Okay,
it's January 1st to April 1st, and then June 1st to October 1st.
Okay.
And then 2028 is January 1st to October 1st, and then 2029 is a full ban.
All right.
Yes.
And I expect we'll start out initially by educating folks and letting them know what if there's a violation, letting them know that this is a new rule in the books.
Yes, we will be reaching out to the contractors that we know of, so just trying to do a broad-based education campaign between now and September 1st to alert them that the ordinance will be in effect, and to outline the phase-in of it, just to make sure that they're aware. Otherwise, the ordinance is similar to that of Lower Merion, other than the implementation for the timing. So we hope to do the outreach and education, and then most likely, because it's in effect for 1 month this year, we'll work on the education, the outreach, the information. So I need to sit down with my code enforcement team to determine exactly how we want to phase this in.
Okay.
But I suspect that it will be largely focused on education and outreach for now.
All right, so residents should expect to see more information about how we're going to implement this and the timing in our Facebook page and in our emails. Are we doing
Yes,
this?
we'll be putting all this information out in the newsletter, so please sign up for the newsletter if you aren't already signed up for that. Our social media channels on Instagram and Facebook, and then on the Borough website as well. So we'll try to advertise this through as many channels as we can. We'll put flyers in our bulletin boards and all the other means by which we convey information to our residents.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right,
Sorry,
let's.
just real fast.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I got a little bit nervous because there's a little bit of confusion around some of the months and years. Are we certain? Do we need to go back over that one more time before we vote?
I'm pretty certain. It's September 1st to October 1st this year.
Okay.
And then for 2027, it's January 1st to April 1st. And then June 1st to October 1st. And then 2028, January 1st to October 1st. And then a full ban in 2029.
And again, this is just mirroring Lower Merion's language. So, we wouldn't be changing this because we want the policy to be the same between the two municipalities.
With the exception that Lower Merion, I believe, is starting
Already.
this year.
It's already started.
Yeah, they've already started.
Yeah, they started
Yeah,
before us.
but all of the rest of the rules are the same.
Correct.
Thank you. So, any other questions or concerns? Okay, let's vote on ordinance 1069, gas-powered leaf blowers. All those in favor? Okay, it is unanimous.
I move to table authorization to advertise ordinance number 1070, zoning recodification, as recommended by Finance and Administration Committee.
Second.
All right, so that was a motion to table. I believe that it is still worthwhile to discuss this right now. So I would like to discuss the ordinance. I don't think we need to vote on the ordinance, but I definitely want to vote on the recodification. But I think I definitely want to discuss it, make sure everyone understands the path forward, and make sure that they understand how to get their questions and concerns answered. So, motion to table is on the floor, but I would like some discussion before we actually vote to table this. So, let's go ahead and who wants to summarize here the state of the discussion?
The state of discussion?
No.
Yeah, I think.
From F&A.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have our representative from the Montgomery County Planning Commission here, who wrote most of the, or along with Todd Bressy, the Planning Commission, did most of the work, so is here to answer anything that's on there. All right, so why don't you summarize the state of the Planning Commission discussion?
State of plan or F&A?
F&A discussion, I'm sorry.
So at Finance and Administration, we discussed the process going forward. We all know it's a very large technical undertaking, and I know I felt, I'll speak for myself, but at F&A, I think multiple folks felt like we needed more time to fully digest how the reorganization has worked, to kind of cross-check some provisions, and also to ensure that it fully met our expectation of making the code more user-friendly and reducing the potential for errors. Things like where if a provision might be repeated multiple times, reducing that so that we don't have the potential for provisions to conflict with themselves, and also just generally to kind of cross-check and make sure that everything was translated properly into the new code. Did I miss anything from my F&A colleagues?
I mean, I guess I would just say, Mr. Conlon's there with us to discuss that. We already had some ideas about, Michael had some suggestions on things that he thought.
Mr. Shantz.
Sorry, Mr. Shantz.
Oh,
Adams. So many Adams, so little time. Mr. Shantz was there. Michael made a couple of suggestions. I'll be honest, I have only started to get through that. The document came to us while I was on vacation, and I think we all just felt comfortable making sure. I'm planning to meet with Michael tomorrow on some substantive things, because I will admit that I'm not an expert on zoning,
etc. I want to make sure that it is in fact content neutral. Mr. Chance answered.
Policy neutral.
Policy
I make this
neutral,
mistake all the
sorry.
time.
Yeah, policy neutral. We all just felt like, there's not really a downside to just making sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's and take the time to make sure that we get it right, especially since, from my perspective, even just getting it out there were some mistakes, in what was given to us, not from you, but just what was posted and given to us from planning commission. So, just making sure that I had a comfort level, quite frankly, personally, that I had the time to digest it and be able to vote for it in a informed way. That's just my own perspective.
All right, so the recommendation for planning commission was from F&A was a longer timeline. Maggie, do you want to lay out how that timeline would work?
And we worked with the commissioners.
I was at that meeting, so it's easy for me to clarify for everybody else.
I know the public was.
Yes, the committee members worked with Adam and Maggie to discuss what would be a feasible way forward. So, sorry, not to put you on the spot.
Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the timeline that we discussed was that we would submit any additional comments or questions through to me. I will pass them on to Adam as of April 24th. So April 24th will be the deadline for council comments, questions. Adam will provide a revised draft with a delivery date of May 8th. This is not going to be considered a final draft at this point. This will just be distributed internally to council for final review with last comments submitted by May 15th. That will go back, again, comments submitted to me to send to Adam. Adam will work on a revised draft with a final draft deadline then of May 29th. So that will be the final draft. That will be ready then for publication, and that draft was what was going to be made available to the public. We're going to be sending that as soon as we get the final draft. We're going to send that to our solicitor. The solicitor will be reviewing the drafts as they go, but the final draft will then be submitted to our solicitor for final formatting into our ordinance format. And then our packets go out to council and posted to our website as of June 12th, ahead of our June 18th council meeting. So we anticipate then that council will authorize the advertisement of the ordinance for the recodified zoning ordinance, again, policy neutral, at the June 18th business meeting. And then we will proceed with our public hearing and adoption of the zoning ordinance at the July 16th business meeting.
Okay. And you want to summarize policy neutral?
So again, policy neutral in that all we are doing is taking the old zoning ordinance and we are restructuring it to make it more user-friendly, providing some clarity where there's some ambiguity. And Adam has presented to that multiple times already. That is all documented in all of our packet materials. But essentially what we're doing is just taking the old ordinance, restructuring it. So it's a reorganization of the existing code. So we're not adding new provisions. We're not removing any provisions. We're just simply clarifying and restructuring. So it'll look a little different, but the end policy goals in terms of what land uses are permitted, what building types are permitted, in what districts, that will all still be the same as what currently exists in the code now.
Okay. Thank you, Maggie. And I'll add that we do have the current draft in the packet today, so if any members of the public want to examine it, it's in our packet for this meeting, and it probably won't see substantial changes between. I mean, there will be some changes, but it's not going to be wholesale change between now and July, I don't think, not June. Okay, so that's the proposal. Yeah, that's just coming over here.
Three things for clarity. Just for people who aren't in the room, there are two Adams involved. Adam Crum, who's on the Narberth Planning Commission, and Adam Shantz from Montgomery County Planning Commission. Maggie's referring to Adam Shantz, I think. I just wanted to share for people who aren't in the room.
Thank you. Yes, I'm gesturing.
Yeah, I can't see that.
There's only one Adam in this room. But.
and I got it wrong.
There are two.
I made it worse.
Thank you for the clarification, Frank, yeah. That's what I said. And so for the public has access to the document. Maggie, you were describing how to submit comments, questions to you, and then that would go to Adam. Is that for council and mayor to submit questions for you, or for the public? Who submits?
It is. So if, as Fred mentioned, the draft is available now. We're not planning on taking that down. When I mentioned that the revised draft is going to just be for internal, that's just because we don't want to have a million different versions of this draft ordinance floating around. It's just confusing for everybody. So we'll leave the one that we have now. So residents are welcome to review that. What we will do though is that once we have that final draft, that will be posted to the website as a final draft. Once the ordinance is advertised, that opens up the official MPC required public comment period. So official comments from the public are welcome. Really anytime, but particularly from that final draft, which is going to be published then
June 18th.
June 12th.
June 12th, excuse me.
Through
Thank you.
adoption. So that will be the official public comment period.
But usually public comments should be to council and not to.
That's what I was clarifying.
I think.
Thank you.
Generally, these public comments are going to be directed to council, right? Or you think that, or during the public comment period officially, that's something
During
else?
the public comment period, we the administration will accept public comments.
Okay, so between now and June 18th, or June 12th, well, till now and June 18th, comments should be directed to council. During the official public comment period, comments directed to borough staff.
And we'll take public comment really anytime
Okay.
to anybody. So
Sure.
feel free to CC me or the info@narberthpa.gov email account. That is a general inbox that we receive. So anything that comes in, we'll distribute it to the proper reviewing party.
Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Did you have one more, Joe?
One more. Last on this topic is there's been a change in our wording. Previously we used the wording content neutral, and tonight I'm hearing policy neutral. Is there something behind that change that I just want to understand?
I think it's always been policy neutral, and sometimes I make a mistake and say content neutral.
I may very well have made the mistake to say content neutral just because of my planning background. We talk about sign ordinances being content neutral, and it just kind of comes out sometimes. It's policy neutral.
Thank you very much.
The intention has always been policy neutral.
Thank you.
But it's an easy mistake to make.
So this is where, I don't want to speak for the public, but I think this is really confusing. So now we're saying, I'm using the words like code cleanup with folks because we're just cleaning it up. We're not doing anything, again, to affect the policy. But so now the public hears, okay, this is going to be official and ready to go in June. But in May, we're having the TOD zoning conversation, correct? So we have two parallel processes coming. So when the public hears we're having a zoning, that we're having this zoning process, there's also this other parallel process that's going on in May. I think that's incredibly confusing. I know we said we could do it in parallel, I know that's the plan, but I think we need to figure out a way almost visually, I don't want to look at you, so folks know, code cleanup's here, but the TOD starts next month. And maybe I'm the only one that finds this confusing.
We've been talking internally about how to clarify this in our communications and on our website, but we will make this as clear as possible. And I think as long as we maintain consistent messaging to educate our residents that there are two separate processes, that the one is policy neutral and the other one is just a discussion. So the Planning Commission has started having those conversations and has made recommendations. But just to emphasize, the Planning Commission is advisory. Making recommendations does not guarantee that those are the actual policies that will end up being agreed to by council. You are all the decision makers. So I do just want to make sure that the public is aware that just because the Planning Commission has talked about it does not mean anything is set in stone. We are just starting the process now with council on that. So we will do the very best that we can to start messaging this to make it more clear. Again, we've been trying to come up with some great ways to do some communications. We've been a little bit time constrained the past few weeks because some of the other things that have come up. But certainly this is something that we understand is confusing and we're trying to make as clear as possible.
I would venture to say that like, so like the fact that we had, right, like zoning as a word on the agenda and that we don't have 50 people in the seats tonight, I think indicates that folks kind of get it at some level.
Okay.
And I would venture to say that we will probably have a pretty big group in the meeting. Like if anyone thinks we're not gonna have a big group in the meeting in May,
No.
I mean, I respectfully disagree. I think it's probably been more confusing that for so long we were tagging these processes to each other and then not talking about them, and then people were like, well, why aren't they talking about them? And that spun more out into confusion. And so I think that it's going to be good for us to finally be able to talk about this at council. And I feel pretty confident that the word will get out, that we're going to be having a discussion about these topics in May.
I think people, I agree with Michael, that people correctly realize that our
I
discussion
got lots
this
of
month
texts,
is-
phone calls, and emails saying, wait, is this the meeting I'm supposed to be at? And I, again, am using the word code cleanup, because I think recodification for people that aren't in zoning does feel as if you're doing something a little more significant. So again, I know code cleanup is not the technical word. Yeah, I had a lot of calls and texts saying, is this the one we're supposed to go to? Maybe even a visual to say, code cleanup looks here, right? That's the green zone. The purple zone is the TOD conversation. I don't know. Again, I don't want to speak for folks, but I
Fred,
do
may I
think
ask one question? Not public comment, just a question.
We really,
I was just going to ask Michael, so we're still allowed to speak even though you have written comments. When the time comes, we'll still be able to address the council as we do tonight.
at any public meeting, there'll always be public comment.
That's all I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing
Sure.
me to interrupt you.
All right.
I also just want to clarify for May, it's a discussion to provide direction to Planning Commission on the zoning amendments. It's not voting on like an ordinance or an actual change.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we'll be able to, but certainly not at the May workshop meeting.
Right, so we haven't even drafted any ordinance language yet. That would be substantive changes. We have only just been drafting the reorganization. Maybe recodification has been confusing, reorganization, or as Cindy said, code cleanup. But the ordinance isn't even drafted yet. So to Jean's point, yes, it is a discussion of the recommendations that Planning Commission has already made. This is the opportunity in May during the workshop for council to discuss those, to talk about what sort of policy end goals that you would like to see, and then provide direction to the Planning Commission so the Planning Commission can then refine their recommendations and work with our planning consultant to then actually draft the ordinance language, which will come back. So it's an iterative process, and there's opportunities for public comment at all stages of this process.
So I'd like to come back to the recodification for a bit here to make sure that we're all comfortable with the process that's been laid out. So one thing that's going on here is that we are going to be directing our comments to Maggie and who will then pass them to Adam. But that means that we won't necessarily be voting on them. We're going to be basically leaving up to Maggie and Adam's judgment as to how to address our comments. So if everyone's comfortable, we will have opportunities. If something comes up and they say, well, I'm not sure this warrants a change and we disagree, we'll have an opportunity at the table and we'll have an opportunity when we get the draft back, or we'll be able to go back and forth a little bit, but we are going to be basically relying on their judgment on the issues that we raise. So just want to make sure everyone's comfortable with that approach.
Maybe they could, I don't mean to suggest, but keep like you did with the work thus far. I saw a little grid and a little chart of we considered this, decided to do nothing, or whatever. We considered this.
I can put all of the comments that I received into a spreadsheet and talk about how we addressed them or why we did not address them.
I think anything really minor you don't even need to mention. You can just do it silently. But if it's if it's meaningful,
meaningful.
If it's more than like a typo, capital Z. Okay.
I understand.
I just want to make sure I understand. So we as residents send comments into info@narberthpa.gov. Is that what I heard?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Not me as in this role, but in that role. Okay. I think what I would say is First off, thanks to the Planning Commission and Montgomery County for doing all this work, and your team, Meg, doing all this work. And thanks to Galdini for saying, hey, we need to take a second. It's a 183-page document. I went through it. It's very complicated. I found some things. I'm not a zoner, planner, whatever the right word is. I would, let's stick to the timeline, but let's also not have blinders to where we say something's not right here. Because I think it's really important to get this base document right. And I'm more interested in right than I am in timing. But I respect the fact that there's been 10 months and a lot of work going into it. I just want to reiterate that, please.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns about process? All right. I did want to raise one substantive issue on it, or sorry, one issue that's come up several times from different people, including from I think a couple residents brought this up, which was the intent section of the code. Mayor was brought it up as well. So can we talk a little? So this is taken pretty much verbatim from our current code, I believe.
Yes.
Can you talk about what the purpose of the intent section is, what that does, why it's in there?
Yeah. So the intent section basically reflects, the community objectives and goals for the document, but also kind of like the legislative authority behind it. So basically, Narberth is kind of identifying what they want to achieve with the document and then saying, this is backed up by the municipality's planning code and by the comprehensive plan. It's really kind of a broad overview of the document. It's not supposed to get technical in nature in any way. All zoning codes have them. Narberth's might be a little bit more verbose than others, but it's not substantially different from other municipalities such as Lower Merion, Cheltenham, Abington.
All right. So the one concern we heard was that the terms in it were not fully defined, and people objected to some of the terms that were used in the intent section. How would you respond to that?
Yeah. So the intent section again is meant to be kind of more general, and so there are kind of phrases in there, but they're not defined because they're not technical in nature. So they're really just kind of a broad overview of what the community wanted to see back in 2016 when the form-based code was adopted. So our intent was, looking at it, that was what was agreed upon back in 2016 through a public process. So we had no intention of changing that section whatsoever.
Okay.
I had a lot of questions on that.
Go ahead.
I don't want to take up all the time. I'll send them into info after this. But you said something I want to make sure I understand.
Sure.
So the intent section, in my background, if someone writes an intent section, that's sort of like the framework, the guidelines, and everything should sort of fit to that. Am I thinking about that right?
I think broadly, I don't think everything's going to fit in the zoning and kind of like the regulations with everything written in the intent.
Understood.
Yeah, so I don't think it's exactly that, but it's more kind of like a vision that was created for the community. Yeah.
Okay. Is it? And then you said, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
Next question on that. Just I'm trying to get my frame here
Yes,
before I decide to go deeper or not. You said you tied it to the comprehensive plan. Could you just take a minute and expand on what you meant by that?
Yeah, so just in Pennsylvania, first of all, the municipality's planning code is what governs. That's what gives local municipalities the right to create their own zoning. So first of all, that's very important here, as that's where this is coming from. That's the legal authority that gives Narberth the ability to create a zoning code. And then the comprehensive plan kind of contributes to a vision for the community. So sometimes not in Narberth, but some, I don't want to create confusion, but sometimes some of the objectives from the comprehensive plan will be in this section. I don't think that's the case here, but these particular objectives went through a public process at the time that the zoning code was adopted in 2016.
I think you referred to the form-based code, which was,
Yes.
yeah, which was 10 years ago. It was a
Yes.
redo of the zoning.
Jim was on planning commission when they developed that, is that right?
That's right. I was just going to mention that the form code predates our current comprehensive plan.
It does,
so-
and that's the reason, yeah, so that's the reason.
So the
it's not
intent would have
exact.
come in when they did the form-based code.
Exactly.
10 years ago.
Okay. So is that the guiding, this is not a leading question.
Sure.
I'm being serious, like, is that the guiding vision for the rest of the document? So if I read that, should I generally understand kind of what's the intent of all these sections? And then the detail in the sections is sort of like how you implement that vision.
I mean, I think it should contain like what you're trying to achieve through the document. It can be like very specific as to like what the document is doing, but it's really kind of like an overarching goal. Again, Narberth is actually a little bit more expansive than others that I've seen, including Lower Merion. I mean, I checked Lower Merions and Abingtons and Cheltenhams, and Narberth actually goes a little bit further in terms of like the goals and objectives.
It would be fair to say that the intent section has no force, has no.
No, it's not. No, it's
Yeah.
not binding in
Yeah.
any way. It's not.
It's
technical.
It's descriptive.
It's really descriptive.
Yeah, it unto itself is not regulatory.
No.
To clarify the intent section, there's no enforcement action that can be taken based on any, I guess, perceived violations of just the intent section. It would have to be under the specific code section.
Sorry, I'm sorry, is it okay if we just go back and forth? Or
Go ahead, yeah.
Was your question, Jim, your question was legal, I got that. Was your question, Jim, saying these things in the intent section may guide the document, but they don't have any enforcement principles? Or were you saying that, because the way I look at that is sort of the push on what we put into the document, not to the people, or the, yeah. So if there's something in the intent that is different than what is actually in the document, should we have a discussion about that? That's the question.
I look at the intent section, as we were just saying, that it's descriptive. You know, it doesn't have any legal force. It doesn't produce any enforcement. It doesn't have any regulations that you can, enforce within it. It's a description of the town, of there's some history and there's some the general pattern of past development. I'm not sure what else to say about it, but
Yeah, I think we're accidentally talking past people, or past each other. I am clear on that part. Are you, if there's something in the intent that says all houses should be red, and in the bottom it says no, all houses should be black, should we have a discussion on that?
I think this exact confusion is why municipalities tend to not make their intent super like detailed and complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could, but I think that wouldn't be in the spirit of being as policy neutral. I mean, I think that could be something that we look at down the road, certainly. That's just my.
I think Cindy wants to clarify the question.
No, not clarify a question. I think how I was interpreting your question, because you mentioned the comprehensive plan and where that fits into the intent. So I was interpreting your question of almost going backwards. Does that comprehensive plan that was community authored inform the intent and subsequent zoning? Is that kind of the North Star, that those should all be aligned, community?
That was my next set of questions.
In this case, it does not, because the comprehensive plan was written after the form code.
Well, I think,
but it's all the previous comprehensive plan did inform this. Yeah.
Was there a prior?
I don't know if there was.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think like all of these things tier, right? So like theoretically under state law, your comprehensive plan is your zoning code is supposed to be consistent with your comprehensive plan, and then our comprehensive plan is supposed to be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. So there's like these tiers under state law, but my understanding is that in terms of like legal effect, most of that is not really enforceable. Like if our comp plan is not consistent with the county comp plan, they send us like a nicely worded recommendation, and then we do whatever we want with it. Just speaking bluntly in terms of, so like, I think that's like, in terms of, you've got like, kind of like theory, and then you've got like actual effect. And I think that's.
But we're trying to stick to the theory, right, Michael? I mean, we're trying to make it line up, and that's part of us, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, if we want to like pare this down to like a basic intent that most other municipalities have, then we could totally do that. I don't know that it wouldn't be like just the kind of just like moving it over.
Yeah, it means simply saying this regulates, you know, the building, you know, building within Arbor, you know, those types of things. This regulates the zoning districts and just strictly go for that. But yeah, that's not how this one was devised originally.
I think I'm hearing that that Adam's opinion would be that if we were to change it, that would be changed, that the policy of the people who drafted this was included in the intent, and that if we were, that his thought was that if we changed the intent, we would be affecting this prior policy that that's what I'm hearing. So.
And yes, I think just to piggyback off of those 2 points, I think for the purposes of the policy neutral, for us to change the intent section substantially would constitute a substantive change, which is antithetical to the fact that this is a policy neutral document. So because we're just restructuring what already exists, I think the points that you're raising are certainly worth further discussion, but perhaps as part of additional zoning amendments that we consider in future. So we're not changing the intent section. This is currently existing verbatim in existing code. We did not change this in any way, shape, or form. So it's literally just copied and pasted from what we have currently on the books to what's part of this reorganized code. So I think for the purposes of the reorganization and recodification, we leave it the same, but maybe flag it for future discussion when we get into substantive reviews.
Quick question on this one. Is the intent considered part of the code?
Yes.
It is.
Well, in that it's
so it is part
of
of
the ordinance, but again, not regulatory, not enforceable, because it's not a regulation that's in it.
My questions are for understanding, not suggesting action. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
So the comprehensive plan was done after this document, and therefore it is not really in scope of this. Is that what we're saying?
No.
No.
Because, I think it's theoretically, this document is supposed to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, and then at points throughout the code, it references consistency with the comprehensive plan. Like, for instance, with like conditional uses, it will say, the conditional, you approving a conditional use should be consistent with the comp plan.
Okay. I think I missed the point of someone pointing out that it was written afterwards. Why was that relevant?
The comp plan was written after the form-based code was written. So the majority of the text that we're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was no way it could be referenced in the code when it was created.
I think there have been amendments to the code that reference the comprehensive.
Yeah, so new law that we've passed refers to the comp plan, but the bulk of this document was written before the comp plan. Okay. All right, I think people are clear. Okay. I don't think that any of the other concerns kind of rose to that level. I don't think they were echoed by more than one person, so I think we can continue to have the conversation through Maggie and Adam. Anybody else? Anybody object to this proposal? So 2 rounds of drafts between two rounds of drafts between now and June, and then we will consider the second revised draft at our June meeting.
So one more quick question, Fred. When is there like an and-on cord we can pull, or someone would pull if they see something they don't like and need to add another review, or how would that work?
Well, I mean, you can let us know before we come to the June meeting.
I don't think it'd be me, because I've already submitted a bunch of stuff. But
I mean, so the concerns would go back and forth to Maggie and Adam, and if they're not addressed in the drafts, you let me know, and then we will either discuss it at the table or we will pull it for more time if it looks like there's a serious concern. But just let me know if something is not working out in the draft process. Would be my suggestion.
Can you clarify then, when are we doing those that have some minor policy implications?
I'm not sure. So the proposals for like the fitness studio uses and
And the 45 feet per stories, when are we doing
well,
that?
okay, so the
I thought that
zoning,
was separate.
zoning,
That's what I mean,
like,
but when are we doing that then? After June 12th?
no. So the changes that would have like density effects, right, like the 45 feet and whatnot, we're gonna start discussing that next month at the workshop meeting. There's a couple minor tweaks like having to do with like allowing fitness studios that were originally part of this. And I don't know exactly when we'll be seeing
Wait,
that.
next meeting or next month?
We had talked about any substantive changes at all would be discussed at the May workshop.
Yeah, okay, so we'll start talking about some changes next month at the workshop meeting.
Okay, so we're putting TOD and policy recodification in the same conversation.
We're putting,
Different meetings.
we've got the policy neutral stuff that we're working on now. That's
Right,
gonna
I
be
know that.
postponed till June.
Correct.
So at the next workshop meeting, we'll have an opportunity to talk about non-policy neutral things. And it's, you know, we'll see how much we can fit on the agenda, but I'm not sure exactly what, we'll hash it out, what can go on the agenda, because we already have a presentation from Valley Forge as well. So I want to make sure we have enough time to get through
Okay.
a discussion. So some stuff we'll start discussing next month.
Okay, I just
3
want to keep
weeks.
them siloed.
Yeah.
We do not intend on discussing the recodification at the May workshop. At this point, this is going back for revised draft with our planning consultant. And then again, being distributed for final review and then the final draft. So we have no intention of discussing the recodification until it comes back before this council for authorization to advertise, and will be discussed as well at finance and administration prior to. So that is where any additional kind of discussion about the recodification can happen. The workshop, we're reserving for any policy discussions that would be substantive changes to the zoning code, and that is going to be starting in the workshop in May.
Yeah, so we're tabling the code cleanup till June. So that won't be on our agenda till June again. Okay? Clear? I mean,
Ish.
if it's a problem, let me know. But that's the proposal right now. Okay. So any further discussion of the recodification at this time? The motion on the table is to table the recodification. So all those in favor of tabling the recodification? All right, legislation is tabled. Let's move on to the next item.
I move to authorize advertisement of ordinance number 1071, vegetation and parking amendments.
Second.
Maggie, do you want to summarize this one?
Yes, sorry, scrolling down.
It's okay. Unless somebody else wants to jump in.
Sorry.
While Maggie is scrolling down, can I just ask the solicitor a question, which I'll only after the meeting the other day. I know under Pennsylvania state law, statutes can only have one purpose. Is that true for us too? Like, should this really be two separate ordinances?
So for the ordinance, we can amend multiple sections of your code within one ordinance, if that's what your question is.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I know like sometimes us been stricken down on the Pennsylvania statutes, state statutes, because they improperly had more than one purpose, and under the Pennsylvania Constitution, state laws can only have a singular purpose for passage.
Understood. And even under this ordinance for the state argument, I would say that there is a similar purpose.
Yeah.
That's why these are under one ordinance, the 3 chapters that can be amended.
And to that point, we actually, and I sent word to all council members yesterday or today. The days bleed together at this point, but we actually removed the one section that had been previously included in this ordinance amendment, which was the update to the table that includes the cartway widths and the right-of-way widths, because that is in the zoning ordinance appendix. So it's not within the zoning ordinance proper, it's in the zoning ordinance appendix, so it's not chapter 500, it's chapter 500A. But because that still legally falls within the zoning ordinance, it would still need to follow all zoning ordinance amendment procedures, which falls under the MPC, that Municipalities Planning Code that Adam Shantz referenced as being our guiding star for how we are able to proceed with zoning. So because of those additional advertising and timing requirements for any zoning ordinance update that differs from updates to other ordinance chapters, we decided to pull that. And it was also the opinion of our solicitor that that represented a substantive change. So we're going to be tabling that for inclusion in a future zoning ordinance amendment. It's not critical that we do it at this time, so we are going to be tabling that portion of the ordinance amendment that had previously been discussed by Finance and Administration. So I want to just make that clear first of all. So what's left in the ordinance amendment 1071 here is an amendment to chapter 462, which is our trees chapter. This is just to make uniform the code requirement for minimum clearance of trees and vegetation above sidewalks. The trees chapter currently says 9 feet. Our streets and sidewalks chapter says 8 feet. We would like it to be 8 feet, so we're changing the trees chapter to be consistent to say 8 feet to conform with our streets and sidewalks chapter. The streets and sidewalks chapter is proposed to be revised to remove subsection 8D under 446. This is to remove the 4-foot maximum height of hedges and shrubs. After we sent out our initial notice to residents in our tax bills to notify them that we were proceeding with a targeted code enforcement this year for vegetation in order to address safety and walkability throughout the borough, we received a number of questions about, hey, I have a privacy hedge in my front yard, do I need to cut it down to 4 feet? We discussed this extensively with public health and safety, and we've decided that that is not an ordinance provision that materially promotes the safety for the public at this time, so we've decided to remove that ordinance amendment. So if this proceeds, then that means that all of the folks who have those privacy hedges will not need to cut them down. They will, however, still have to comply with the existing ordinance requirements that requires them to make the sidewalk width clear from any obstruction. So if you have an 8-foot tall shrub, that would be fine, but you can't just encroach into the sidewalk. That is still not permitted. And then finally...
and just one more thing is, it also doesn't, you can't have that high hedge if it's going to obstruct sight lines from a safety perspective on a corner, street corner, just to make clear that there's something else in the code that addresses that.
Yes, we have other sections of our code that would impact or that would allow us to enforce safety regulations if you have vegetation or other obstructions that would cause a traffic safety concern with sightlines at intersections. So that is a different section that is not being impacted. So we still have some enforcement capabilities regarding intersections. I will also just note with the streets and sidewalks, we're also saying that if you do have trees or shrubs that block the visual sight of your address number, that you have the address number somewhere visible from the street. That enables emergency services and delivery vehicles to be able to find your house more easily and to maintain a clearance walkway. So if you have a sidewalk leading to your house, to maintain that clearance. If you don't, if you have a driveway, that counts. And again, that's just if you need to receive emergency services, that you have somebody who can access your house, identify it, and be able to access the house to provide aid you might need. And finally, the last one is an update to our vehicles and traffic, chapter 475. This impacts section 21.b. This is to update the chart that lists the blocks subject to the 2-hour parking limits. This body received a petition a few months ago to remove the 2-hour parking restriction off of the 200 block of Chestnut and all of South Essex. There was also another removal of 2-hour parking restrictions back in 2024 that was approved by council that just never got codified in the ordinance. So we're just going back and including that. So this is just codifying what has already been approved by council. and that would be for parking restrictions on Price Avenue, the 300 block of Price Avenue. So those changes are all shown in the ordinance amendment that you have before you. So at this point, council is being asked to authorize the advertisement of ordinance 1071. Again, this was recommended by the Public Health and Safety Committee at their meeting on April 10th and recommended for approval at the Finance and Administration Committee on April 14th. And then this would be advertised, and then this would come back before council for final adoption at your May meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council members? All right.
I do. As Maggie said, thank you, Maggie, for a great description. Regarding the visibility in intersections, I would find it very helpful if maybe in the minutes for the meeting it could be included where in the code that enforceability is. I can't find that in our code of where we're able to enforce sight lines at intersections. I don't know if it's in the minutes or somewhere, but I think that'd be very valuable.
I again don't have that code reference offhand, so I can't include it in the minutes because I'm not mentioning it tonight, but I'll send you some information.
Oh, that'd be wonderful, thank you. And I think the other thing that we talked about in public health and safety is that that we will, separate from what we're talking about here, we might be working on site triangles or other something else that could be proposed more formally about the visibility of traffic and for safety purposes at intersections. Lower Marion has really important information that maybe we can utilize as a basis for this. Thank you so much, Maggie.
I know we do get resident concerns from time to time about overgrowth near intersections, so something to consider for the future. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, let's vote to advertise ordinance 1071 for vegetation and parking amendments. All those in favor? All right, it is unanimous.
Move to authorize bid award for the 2026 road program to T. Schaefer Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $219,466.
Second.
Maggie, Jeff, you take this one?
So this is our road program bid. So we authorized the release of the bid. We received three quotes back. This is the lowest responsible bidder. We did budget $225,000 in our 2026 Highway Aid Fund for the road paving program. As was mentioned, this comes in with a price of $219,466, which falls right within our budget. So this is an excellent price for us. We have not yet worked with this particular contractor, but Jeff has heard good things.
I have, and Eric and his firm have done a handful of projects with that.
So we would be looking then to get on the contractor's schedule, and we're considering, I think, July.
Always hopeful that it's after July 4th.
Right.
Just for the ease of parking and events and all.
But we did, as I mentioned earlier in my manager's report, we sent out preliminary notices to residents who are on the road paving schedule route to give them a heads up that this would be coming later this year. And then we will be following up with them with more detailed letters once we have a date from the contractor as to when the work will be occurring, information about alternate parking arrangements, and other relevant things that they would be interested in knowing since they will be impacted by this scope of work. But that is for future communications once we have this, but for tonight we're just looking to authorize this bid award to this contractor.
Okay. Any questions at the table? Okay, let's vote to authorize the bid award for the 2026 road program. All those in favor? Okay, let's repave some roads. That's unanimous.
Move to approve the baseball bleachers capital project and associated costs as presented.
Second.
All right, so this is implementation of one of the recommendations in our master parks plan, which we adopted in February of last year. So the scope of work would include the removal of one of our set of bleachers. So this is the set of bleachers on Wynwood Avenue, closest to Windsor Avenue, so on the third baseline, closer to Windsor. So removal of those bleachers. They are in deteriorating condition. They're also being encroached by these white pines. The white pines are also nearing the end of their lifespan and are dropping some limbs. So for full safety purposes, we would like to remove both the white pines and the bleachers, again, consistent with the recommendation in the Master Parks Plan. The area where the bleachers and the trees are going to be removed will be restored as a sloped lawn, so we'll still be able to have spectators sit on that area and be able to see the game and just enjoy some additional kind of lawn space that's not part of an active recreation field. We also will be removing then, of course, the concrete footers underneath the bleachers, so the whole thing is going to be removed. So the actual structure, the concrete footers, and the restoration of the sloped lawn and the removal of the trees. So this covers a couple of the recommendations, so F, G, H, and I of the Narberth Parks Plan, which we included the map of that to show those different areas that are going to be implemented. So we anticipate that the total cost of this project will come in around $21,000.
And you spoke to the various baseball groups that use the site, right?
Yes, we did. Jeff had reached out to them. The plan is that we will wait until after 4th of July to do this work. We want to make sure that we have enough time to do the construction and restore the lawn. We don't want to do it ahead of time because we're not confident that the lawn will be fully vegetated before 4th of July, and with the amount of activity it gets on it, it could set it back. So we just want to wait till after that when we have the ability to kind of section it off a little bit to ensure that that grass comes in nicely. Did I miss anything, Jeff? Thank you.
One of the other, because this question will probably come up, and it's already been answered, which is, yes, an arborist has looked at all the trees,
Yes.
just so everyone is aware.
Yeah. And they are safe for now. We're not worried about any limbs falling now. They've been cleaned enough that they are safe and able to be removed after July.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
This is more just it's a supportive comment for everything we're doing, but also sort of suggesting that two things that have been brought, one I've noticed and one has been brought to my attention repeatedly. The field, I think the word was pitted, that it's difficult for kids to run on, like when they're playing soccer and stuff, so they're residents have mentioned that they'd like some consideration for having that re-leveled. Bringing this up because of the general topic of baseball, not in opposition to anything we're suggesting. And then the second one, which I've raised in the past, but I'll raise it again, is the net along Windsor is an issue and should be addressed at some point. I have personally witnessed with my table mate here, baseballs flying through the net while we were walking on Windsor. So I'd be really concerned if we don't lift that into priorities at some point.
Just to speak to that briefly, we have heard those concerns. Jeff did reach out to the contractor who installed the netting to find out about costs for repairing the netting along Windsor. We also received cost estimates for installing new netting along Wynwood. So we do have those cost estimates. We do not have those budgeted in our capital plan. They are quite expensive. So, very expensive. So, as we get into the capital planning process, which will start in July of this year, I welcome those suggestions. We do already have the estimates, so we can include that in our inventory just so you can see what that would look like. And as we discuss what our priorities are, as we get into our capital planning and then later on our budgeting process, we can see what sort of priorities we would like to address moving forward for next year and beyond.
Just to be clear, it's material enough that it would require us to take something else off the table, which maybe we do, but it's because of that, we can't just say, from an infrastructure standpoint, we can't just say, oh, let's recommend it because it means we're not doing something, affirmatively not doing something else. Unless you'd like to make a generous donation to the.
Well, but that's what the capital planning process.
Right.
Well, so it is good to elevate because we're going to have those, and then I think the releveling is also in the master park plan as an item at some point as well, right?
Yes, and I'm trying to recall if we put it in the inventory. If not, we'll double check all of that. But again, we will want to take a look at the master parks plan, take a look at our master inventory, and again, we reevaluate all of these every single year. We have a ranking system, so we can talk about what is of priority to us, take a look at the funding, and again, game that out in terms of, we have to balance needs and wants and budget limitations. So it's certainly a delicate balancing act, but we can certainly talk about this as we get into the budgeting process.
The nets are also not that old, that I recall, and I think they were even damaged soon after they were installed, I think. So I'm wondering, is there an alternative? I can't think of what an alternative to netting might be, but maybe something more durable that we won't have to.
Jeff looks like he has a comment on it.
I wonder if we should just vote on this before we get to
Yeah, I think that it sounds like we're going to be addressing some of these in July when we get to the capital planning. Yeah.
It's a point well taken.
Okay, so
Can I add something to that? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
So we have the pricing, for that to do a run of netting along third base to match what's along first base and as well as the outfield. So the run along third base, which would be the same height as currently what's out there on first base, which is a 35-foot tall pole, that price is $87,501 installed, everything. The outfield netting, which is only a 25-foot pole, that breaks down to about $75,000, and they're both about 220 feet in length. In the interim, we've sourced the replacement net that we did last year, right beyond, right in front of the set of bleachers that we're keeping. We priced it out. I've spoken with NAA and a few other users of the field who would likely make a contribution towards it. But my estimate, between $5,000 to $7,000, we can replace that run of netting out there now. No pole height increasing, nothing, just simply replacing the netting that's torn and tattered. So that might be, something in the interim to do. I figure a solid net is better than a net that has poles from tree branches that have poked through it for decades.
So the cost that's mainly just the cost of installing the poles, like the larger, the 87s.
But the 5 to 7 would just be the cost for a netting,
Just
intact
take down
net.
the failed
Take down the old net, put up
in
an.
the outfield and put up a new one.
I mean,
That sounds very.
let's put that on the agenda. That sounds very promising. Okay. Meanwhile, back to the baseball bleachers project. Any other discussion or concerns about this project as part of our master parks plan?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, one quick one. I wasn't here during the capital thing. Was this prioritized? Did we prioritize these other safety items against this one, or and then decide the bleachers was more important?
The trees were kind of a problem. We're worried about the tree limbs coming
Safety
down. So
issue.
this is a safety concern. I mean, a slightly different one, but that's why this was prioritized.
And the way that we do or have our CIP and that we'll do is we have basically like a matrix that's various rankings and it spits out a prioritization and then we work within that kind of like universe.
Okay, let's vote to authorize the capital expenditure for the park improvements, including the baseball bleachers. All those in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. Next item is escrow.
Move to approve the release of escrow funds in the amount of $3,850 for 202 Dudley following verification from the bureau manager that any outstanding costs are paid.
Second.
I can just speak here. This is pretty standard when there's a new construction project. They are required to put money in escrow when they've got public improvements that they need to make typically. And then once they're completed, we release the money that's in escrow.
Yes, and this was a small escrow, so if you recall, this was a 2-lot subdivision, so they took one lot, subdivided one lot off of it, built a new house. So this represents, so this is not the professional services escrow, this is the site planning escrow, so the financial security for all site improvements, public site improvements, really which just amounted to curbing sidewalk, the driveway apron, and the stormwater facility. All of those have been reviewed by our engineer. Everything has been cleared and approved. We do have one outstanding payment left. I was told that that will arrive tomorrow. So I will hold release of the escrow until we receive final payment. But we're just asking council to formally authorize the release of that escrow, which will be released in full. And that is in the amount of $3,850 related to the 202 Dudley Avenue subdivision land development project.
And small, funny side note on this one, just apropos of earlier, when the subdivision came through, we actually had a note from your predecessor on planning commission noting that it was theoretically not compatible with our FLUM, but we had to approve it anyway because it was compatible with the zoning. So apropos of the earlier conversation about kind of the difference between these things.
Interesting. Any comments about the escrow release? Okay, let's vote to approve the saldo escrow return for 202 Dudley Avenue. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
Move to approve resolution 2026-08 to authorize the manager to serve as the signatory for the PennDOT letter of adjustment. Second.
All right. It's a good thing I like to talk, right? So you've seen these resolutions before. This one is slightly different. So this is related to our bridge project and the reimbursement that we receive for the project costs. So related to expenses that we incur from our bridge contractor and our construction management firm. So the contractor being RoadCon, the construction manager, they do CICM, so construction management, construction inspections. That's TPD, is that company. Those two are pass-through money. So if you recall, that is a pay when paid for those two invoices. Those invoices for those two companies are much larger. They submit through the ECMS portal, which is the state payment portal, state project payment portal. So that is not impacted by this. So I just want to make it clear again, anytime we talk about this, we have the reimbursement side of things and then we have the pass-through side of things. This resolution relates to the reimbursement side of things, and this has to do with PennDOT expenses and Amtrak expenses that we incur throughout this building construction project. I've not been able to yet request the reimbursement from PennDOT since we moved from the design phase into the construction phase, because what happened is, if you recall, there was a slight design change at the end of the design phase, which took some additional monies. Anyway, what this is saying is that in order for the reimbursement to proceed, we need to just shift money over in the PennDOT system. So as part of the agreement, there is a set of money that they allocated for the project to be spent in different buckets and at different phases of the project. Because of the change of the cost from before, all we're doing is we're moving money from one bucket to another bucket. We're not changing the total cost, the total project cost that we will be incurring. That is still staying the same. It's just simply moving it from the final design phase into the construction phase. And that's all this is. So it's just shifting the money around, and as a result of that, we just need to have, so there's an agreement, so we're essentially modifying the agreement, and the state needs council to authorize me to sign said agreement to shift the money from one bucket to the other. And that is what this is for. And once we get this approved, then I can get our reimbursement from the state for the cost to date, and then I'll continue to request those reimbursements on a monthly or bi-monthly basis to keep up with those reimbursement requests.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Any questions? I assume we'll continue to have these minor administrative hiccups as we proceed through the bridge process. Progress. Okay, let's vote on the PennDOT signatory update. All those in favor? All right, get us some money, Maggie.
On it.
Okay.
Speaking of getting us money.
Yeah.
You want to take it?
Yeah, sure. I always want to give the motion to get us money. I move that Borough Council adopt Resolution 2026-10 DCNR grant application to support the Elm Grove Park pedestrian bridge project.
Second.
Okay, so this is the same project that we've heard before. So this is the Elm Grove Park pedestrian bridge. If you recall, we submitted for a grant for this project from Monco 2040 implementation. Throwing in a shout out to the county here. But this is the DCNR grant, so same project, same total project cost, just seeking additional grant funding. So as I explained before, we can kind of double down on these grants and that they both count for one another. So the Monco 2040 grant plays really nicely with the DCNR grant in that if we were to receive grant funding from the county, it would count towards our match requirements towards our DCNR grant. And similarly, if we receive the DCNR grant funding, it counts towards our match for Monco 2040, effectively offsetting some of our required costs and dropping down the total out-of-pocket costs that we have for this project way, way low. So this one is a little bit of a longer time frame for review. This is a state level grant versus a county level grant. Adam, to put you on the spot, do you know when results will be released from the County 2040 grant program?
So officially, probably in June.
Okay.
But I can look into, I'm not going to commit to anything, but I can look into the likelihood that you might be receiving an award and hint at that.
Very good. Well, we will take whatever notice you're able to provide. So it sounds like we'll get official confirmation then soon in June. This grant we anticipate not hearing back until maybe November. So this is an end of the year thing. Again, as you recall though, we're not proposing to actually do any sort of construction until the spring of next year. So right now what we're doing is a concurrent process where we applied for the county grant funding, we're applying for the state grant funding. So this application is April 30th, so we're going to be pivoting to work on that. And then we'll hear from the county grant, we'll hear from the state grant. While we're waiting for these grants to be announced, our engineers are working on all of our DEP permitting. So I did recently sign a permit for DEP for them to sign and look at that. So that process is going on in the background. So that process also takes a couple of months. So by the time that we get our grant awards and we know how much money we have in grant awards, hopefully all of it, all the awards that we're seeking, then we'll have our DEP permits, we'll have our final engineering design, and we'll hit the ground running then with our construction in early spring of next year is the timeline for everything. So the resolution though tonight is just to authorize us to apply for the grant funding from DCNR.
Okay. Questions? All right, let's vote to approve the DCNR grant application. All those in favor? All right, it is unanimous, and cross our fingers. Monthly reports are in the packet. Committee reports, Finance and Administration.
Yeah, our majority of our meeting was taken up by talking about the recodification and the recommendation we dispensed with earlier tonight. And we punted on the facilities rental topic until next month. We ran a long meeting last week. So that was pretty much it.
Okay. Infrastructure?
I was not here, so I'll defer to Mr. Gardini.
Yeah, we discussed the baseball bleachers. Then we got an update from our Shade Tree Commission about Arbor Day. which we had. It was really nice. We had, Mayor gave some comments. We had a couple council members there. I think Joe and Fred were there. I don't know if I was missing anyone else. Was that Arbor Day? Yeah, that was it.
All right, public health and safety.
We met April 10th. Manager Dobbs gave an update on the Montgomery Avenue corridor study. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll be setting up a meeting with 3 council members to review their initial recommendations, and then we just talked about the ordinances that we approved today.
And Jean, if I may, actually, hot off the presses, today we received an update about the active transportation plan.
Oh,
Yes.
Adam, do you want to
Yes,
take the
so
floor here?
that is live and it's been published. Yeah, we've shared the link out. I mean, it should be the same link that we've shared previously. But yeah, any feedback on that? The comment form goes directly to me, so you can actually email me directly. Yeah. Yeah, but we're very excited that's been a long time coming before I even started at the county. So it's really important that we've got that going, and it's kind of a new version of a plan for us where we can actively update it as new plans arise, as projects are completed, which is pretty neat.
So is that just open to internal review for now, and then?
No, that's published to the public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is hot off the press, live for
All right.
everybody. Yeah.
So we'll put that in the newsletter.
Yeah, we can put, it literally came in at the end of the day today, so I haven't had a chance to send it out, but I'll forward that email to all of council. We'll put it in the newsletter, and we'll do a news announcement on the website, so folks can start
Fantastic.
checking that out.
And then is there going to be another public meeting for the Montgomery Avenue corridor study?
Yes, so as Jean mentioned, where we are in the next steps with that is we are, so we had a staff level review of the preliminary recommendations. The next step is for elected officials review, so Laura Marion is reviewing this with a subset of their commissioners.
Okay.
And then we are going to be having a meeting with 3 of the council members and Laura Marion to review the initial recommendations. Then there will be another public meeting, which we will certainly announce as soon as we have a date for that, to review those preliminary recommendations. And then there's going to be more public meetings for final recommendations.
Okay, good.
And I'll just add one more. The EAC also brought forward the CCA resolution, which was approved in the consent agenda today. And all of that information is provided in the packet in terms of what the resolution says, and it's basically in support of state legislation for the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs to express support and advocate for CCA.
Yeah, the PSAB publishes the lovely, borough newsletters that we all get in our mailboxes, and they are the lobbying group that represents Pennsylvania boroughs. I mean, nonprofit, but they do, take issues that are of interest to boroughs in particular and bring them to the state government. So that's why this is asking them to intervene on this legislation.
And that's it.
All right, thank you. Any announcements? Comment, new business, old business, comments for the good of council? Okay, so how are we describing this? We'll have a short, is it considered an executive session?
It's not, no, so just an informational discussion.
Is it going to be announced? Does it need to be publicized? No. Okay. In that case, I will take a motion to adjourn. We will not have an executive session after this meeting. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded. Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Vote on it.
Oh, yeah. All those in favor of adjournment? See no objection.
Yeah.